And we're off to New Zealand, Chicago to Auckland, and then from Auckland down to Queenstown to spend an entire month touring both the North and the South Islands. Hi, I'm Randy.
And I'm Karen, and here we are in Queenstown. What a great way to start our trip.
The mountains in the background are the Remarkables, and they are. What a beautiful place. Lake Wakatipu in the background.
And this is a view from our hotel. Just everywhere we turn, beautiful. There's a nice sculpture, a lot of artwork, a lot of sculpture here.
There's the sunset from our hotel. And Lake Wakatipu once again. We got on the TSS Earnslaw, a steamboat, and took it off to an actual sheep ranch.
Oh, there we are on the way over. A beautiful sunny day heading out to the ranch. There's Randy watching that the ship goes back and forth, watching it come in.
We saw a sheep shearing exhibition. We saw a sheep herding exhibition with the dogs. Had dinner at this place.
We had lunch there. It's all organic. Everything is grown there. It was wonderful. All you can eat. And then went for a little stroll through the cemetery after.
I don't know what it is, but Karen seems to dig graveyards.
Really interesting. Met some fun people there, the ones that were alive.
Found this tree at the graveyard, a huge, strange-looking tree, before we took the gondola to the top of Bob's Peak for a lookout. And then off to Teano on the South Island, home of the glowworms. We stayed at this place, the beautiful Teano Lodge.
And this is actually a convent that they moved into this area. It had a really nice gazebo. We had life-size chests, a lot of sculptures, we'll say, around the grounds.
Here's where you have breakfast. Note the stained glass windows. And the gathering room where they always had fresh baked goodies, free wine and beer. It was really fantastic. And now we're off to the glowworm caves. We're on board a boat that takes us across Teano Lake, which is actually the largest lake in New Zealand by volume, not surface area. And the water in this lake is so pure, you can actually dip a cup and drink straight from the lake. This is our walk to the glowworm caves, and once in there, you'll find a lot of streams, little waterfalls throughout.
And once we got in there, put us in a boat and hauls you in there. It's dark. You can look up at the ceiling and just millions of glowworms. It's pretty amazing.
This is definitely one of the most spectacular sights in New Zealand, Milford Sound, which are actually fjords. This is in the fjordland of New Zealand. Waterfalls throughout.
The drive there was also amazing. This is the aptly named Mirror Lake. Oh, there we are, getting on the boat. We'll call it a ship.
And off we go.
Some of our fellow cruisers, everywhere we went, just such great people from all over the world enjoying New Zealand. There I am, enjoying New Zealand. A little windy out there.
I'm a little wind blowing as well. Just check out these beautiful images. Fantastic.
We were there on just a really nice sunny day, although they say when it rains, it's also beautiful out there. But we got to look at the seals. They were all out sunning themselves and having fun climbing on the rocks. One of the many waterfalls, and they actually brought that ship in close enough
so that you could feel the spray, the mist from this waterfall.
Oh, there we go, right in there. And it is cold, cold, clear water coming down from those mountains.
And there's our parting shot of Milford Sound. Wanaka, there's the famous tree, the Wanaka Lake tree. We stayed in Wanaka at Rob Mackay's house. Rob was our general manager at Radio Windy and a great host. We had a great time. And there's us staying up a little bit too late.
Reminiscing.
Oh, listen to this.
Left. Right.
Rob's neighbor raises sheep, and that dog, that sheepdog, is just amazing the way you can just call out the left command or the right command, and he rounds them all up into a nice little pen. That's a rabbit deterrent to keep rabbits from coming into Rob's yard. There's Rob's backyard with the pool and the Southern Alps in the background. Now on our way to Franz Josef on the South Island.
That was a really hilly, really windy road, but beautiful. Made a lot of stops along here to look at waterfalls, and then finally the glacier. That is the Franz Josef Glacier.
People snowboard that thing. We stayed at this motel and found a group of guys that had come over from France with their Citroen cars, vintage cars, and they drove these the length of the North and South Islands.
And there's the kiwi bird. It is nocturnal, so you don't often get to see it, but there it is.
And now Greymouth to Christchurch to Picton on the South Island, all via train. It was nice to take a break from driving through the Southern Alps for a while.
And these trains are great. Lot of windows, spacious. There's a dining car. We really enjoyed this trip. Got to see a lot of the countryside.
A lot of vineyards around this area.
More views. Everywhere you look, there's a view.
And we made it to Picton on the northern tip of the South Island. We stayed at the Picton Yacht Club Hotel.
And again, everywhere we went, something to look at. Really nice marina, a lot of places to go hiking. Weather was beautiful. We just really enjoyed this little town.
2 nights in Picton. That's the Visitors Center and City Park.
And I had to do some shopping, so I dropped Randy at the daycare in Picton. Nice of them to have that for us.
They took care of me, too. And then it was on the Inter-Islander Ferry and crossing Cook Strait into Wellington. What a great trip this was. On the left, you'll see the Marlborough Sounds. It's about a 3.5-hour ride up to Wellington. There's a ferry coming from Wellington heading down to Picton, and that's coming into Wellington Harbor. And here we are, Wellington, where I used to live 40 years ago. That's the capital. They call it the Beehive. This city has changed immensely in 40 years. Here we are at the Te Papa Museum.
Again, beautiful views everywhere. We had perfect sunny weather to walk along the waterfront. They've got food trucks. There we are, smiling in front of one of the many sculptures that they have.
Downtown, St. James Theater.
And the Weta Studios. I got to try out a sword.
Cabled car up to my old neighborhood. I used to live on Ingester Street. You'll see our house in a moment. Take that path down to the right, and there it is. And here's our view of the city. It's just a wonderful place to live. The same dairy store, still there after 40 years. We stayed in Nio, a suburb, with our friends Dave Collins and Tanya. Dave and I used to work together at Radio Windy.
Don't forget the dogs. Oh, there's me and Tanya enjoying a lunch outside. The sun was a little hot. We wore hats. And I love the word trundler instead of shopping cart.
All right, here we go. The main event, the Radio Windy reunion, 40-year reunion. We got the whole gang back together and just really had a fantastic time.
And it was really fun meeting all these people that I'd heard about, and everyone was just friends again, old friends, new friends. There's everyone enjoying a little social time.
Carrie on the left, Don on the right, Peter Mack, Dave Collins. She was also my roommate. Philippa on the left in blue. Sandy on the left, Susie on the right.
Susie brought a lot of neat memorabilia, too.
Yeah, you'll see that in a second. Dave and I doing an acoustic version of Nice Leg, Shame About Your Face. Trev Arthur with me. Together we originated the reunion idea. There's Rachel and Karen. There's Carrie again. We stayed at his and Rachel's place later on. And there's Trevor and his wife, Melissa. And there's Mike West on the right. Tanya and David again.
Oh, this is the after party.
Uh-oh.
It continued.
Chris Gollins, our news director. The next day, we continued Sunday afternoon at the Southern Cross in Wellington. Some of the windy wear from a lot of the promotions we had at Radio Windy. Phil O'Brien, still on the air on a nationwide program.
And everyone just relaxed and had fun and got to know each other a little more. And Dave wins for best T-shirt.
A whim away, a whim away. You get it. And there's the gang. Of course, we're on the North Island, and we're in Napier. This place is fantastic. It was leveled in 1931 by an earthquake and a fire. And when they rebuilt the city, they decided to go with the architecture of the time, which was Art Deco. Not just one or two buildings, but every building in Napier was done in Art Deco, and it was fantastic.
And we took a walking tour, learned so much about it that when people wanted to change it to be more modern, luckily some people said, no, let's keep it Art Deco. So the whole city is just, everywhere you turn, just something really interesting to look at.
And they keep it up, too. It's not like it's run down. Everything is freshly painted and in good shape. One building, this building, did not come down in the earthquake.
And these are still working businesses, banks, office buildings, so much detail. They let us come in and take a look around.
If you're a fan of Art Deco, you've got to get to Napier. Here's their newspaper building. That's the hotel we stayed, the Masonic Art Deco Hotel. That's our view of the Pacific outside of the hotel.
And little touches like this cute coffee cup in our room. When the sun comes up, the first place it hits is here in New Zealand. That is welcoming the new millennium. They put that up for the year 2000.
The next day, off on a wine tour. We weren't driving, as you can see. First stop, Moana Park. All of the wines they create here are organic.
A lot of information here. It's a small little boutique winery, but they're doing some really neat stuff. And grapes, we could just pick them right off the vine and eat them, and they are tasty.
Our second vineyard was Cellini.
Once again, very knowledgeable host, letting us sample all kinds of different wines to see which ones we like best.
I liked them all.
Yeah, me too.
Ash Ridge Winery was last in our tour. Fantastic place. She was a great host and very knowledgeable about wine. You can actually harvest grapes with a machine or still by hand, and they put sheep in there to keep the weeds down, and they will not eat the grapes. How about that? Listen. That's the sound of bubbling, boiling hot water. Rotorua is in a thermal area like our Yellowstone Park, bubbling mud pools and geysers, and really an amazing place. The pools you see here are actually in a downtown city park.
And in that park, you can also get rid of your shoes and socks and soak your feet in the hot water for a while, which is a nice way to end a walking tour, because we did walk around this whole city. Again, we're working our way north in New Zealand, and always something interesting.
Here are the government gardens, a cultural area with a beautiful museum.
I like the way they've tied the British and the Maori in this city.
That's the caretaker's house. There's a fine example of a well-restored Morris Minor 1000. Cute, isn't it? And this is Prince Rotorua. They have redwoods in New Zealand on the North Island, just outside of Rotorua. And these were brought in from California, so they are California redwoods. Not quite as old as the ones in California, but still really spectacular. You can do nighttime walks through the redwoods on lighted trails. And this was amazing, the Tamaki Maori village. We spent about three and a half hours here. We're being greeted here by the Maori Islanders.
And we were able to go in and visit several different aspects of Maori life. Here, the games that they played, and these games were meant, this one is for agility. And then they brought out the main course. We had chicken, we had lamb, we had beef, fantastic vegetables, all cooked underground.
A lot of traditional song and dance from the Maoris. It's great the way they still preserve and respect their culture here. Now this is a traditional Maori haka, and you may have seen a haka if you've ever seen the New Zealand all-black rugby team. They'll perform one of these before a rugby match to psych themselves up and to intimidate their competitors. Watch their faces.
That would be very intimidating to come across these guys.
Yikes.
Round of applause.
But of course, fun to see them break character. What a great group of people, hardworking on that.
And now to the Coromandel Peninsula, where we stayed in Hahe, a small little town, and it was beautiful.
And we stayed at the church, which is a nice little cottage, several little cottages there with the restaurant. This is the main greeting room where we can hang out, watch TV. This was our room. And off of the back porch, beautiful gardens out there.
And now I'm getting all revved up for a 90-minute hike up and down hills and stairs out to Cathedral Cove. The views along the way were outstanding. This is the Pacific Ocean, by the way. We're facing east. You can do helicopter rides out here, boat rides, and then we arrived at Cathedral Cove.
This was amazing. The color of the water and the pictures look beautiful, but even better in person. A lot of people out there swimming, sunning, resting up after that hike and resting for the hike back.
Oh, here we go. Hot Water Beach just outside of Hahe. If you go out 2 hours prior or after high tide, bring a shovel, dig a hole. It'll fill up with hot water.
And if it's too hot, you dig another hole and hope for cold water, but you just sit there and relax.
We're a strange breed, aren't we? And then Morrinsville, cream of the country. We just stopped off here by accident. They're famous for their mega cow. And there it is. I stand knee-high to this mega cow. And
not only do they have the mega cows, they have got cows all over the city. Painted with a lot of different, usually it has to do with the business that supported the cow, but these are great fun, about 60 of them around the town. We saw a handful.
Each one had a theme and beautiful artwork.
If we had more time, I'd have liked to seen all of them because they just kept getting better.
Next time.
And Randy with the cow in front of the Crazy Cow Cafe.
You notice the theme going there?
Yeah, we better keep moving.
And then into Hamilton, where we stayed with Kerry Varco and his wife Rachel, and we visited the Hamilton Gardens. This place was amazing, with at least 7 different styles of gardens, from English gardens to Asian and Japanese and Italian gardens. We had a great time here.
And it's actually heading into fall in New Zealand, but we had another beautiful sunny day. Would love to see this when it's in full bloom because it's pretty fascinating at this time of year.
Everywhere you turn, there's something beautiful to look at.
Carrie and Rachel, our hosts.
All in all, it was really an outstanding trip and well planned by our travel agent, Jeff Hendren, who is actually a New Zealander from Bon Voyage Travel in Neenah. Thanks, Jeff. Great job, everybody. Now, before we go, how about a little bit of New Zealand fun facts? Small but mighty, New Zealand and the United Kingdom are very similar in landmass size. The UK, however, has roughly 63 million people living there compared to New Zealand's 4.5 million population. And there are more sheep than people in New Zealand. The landmass is small, but Kiwi hearts are mighty.
And New Zealand is the first country in the world to see a new day. The East Cape is situated just under 500 kilometers from the international dateline, meaning New Zealanders are living in the future.
Now, you can go to New Zealand just to say that you visited the town with the longest place name in the world. Want to take a guess? No, but yes, that is a word.
And let's move on over to cinema and Lord of the Rings. Need we say more? What better reason to visit New Zealand than to check out Rotorua, the place where a worldwide cinema phenomenon was born. The films were shot over 275 days using 350 purpose-built sets in more than 150 locations all over New Zealand. You can visit Bilbo and Frodo's Hobbit house in Bag End.
What about New Zealand's politics? Well, in 1893, New Zealand was the first country to give women the right to vote. A lady named Kate Shepherd, displayed on the $10 New Zealand note, led the signing of documents presented to Parliament, which saw New Zealand lead the way in women's suffrage movements.
And Auckland is the largest city in New Zealand and is home to more than 1/4 of New Zealand's population. Although it's Wellington that's the official capital city, Wellington has been the capital since the 1800s when the Parliament buildings were moved to a more central location, the middle of New Zealand.
And finally, it was announced that New Zealand was voted the world's best country by Wanderlust magazine in 2007 and 2008. We don't know what's happened since then, but if you're like us, we still think it's one of the best. Good on you, New Zealand.